Hi, welcome back to the Coin Studio. Don't spend another coin before watching this. These 25 most valuable. Australian coins could be worth $10,000, $100,000, even $1 million. Let's start with number 25. 2001 Federation 20C Northern Territory with double bar. Australia's commemorative coin series. Released in 2001 to celebrate the centenary of Federation. Featured unique reverse designs for each state and territory. Among these, the 20-cent coin for the Northern Territory stands out not just for its artistic representation of indigenous motifs, but for a rare die variation that has captured the attention of collectors across the nation. The double bar variety. This era variety is characterized by two parallel lines dubbed the double bar behind the emu's head on the reverse. These lines are the result of a faint doubling in the minting die. While not visible to the naked eye in circulation-worn pieces, they can be clearly identified under magnification in higher-grade examples. The rarity and demand of this variety stem from how few were struck before the die was corrected. Collectors are often willing to pay a significant premium for a sharp, uncirculated double-bar coin. In mint state condition, prices can range between $5,000 to $6,000, with exceptional examples bringing even more in private sales or auctions. It's a classic case of a small detail making a big impact, and a reminder that even modern coins can hold hidden treasures. Number 24. 2010 Upset 50-cent error. At number 24, we step into the fascinating world of minting alignment. Errors with the 2010 Upset 50-cent coin. An upset refers to the misalignment between the obverse and reverse dies during the minting process. In this case, the two dies were not perfectly aligned at the typical 180 degrees. Instead, the reverse is rotated relative to the obverse, creating a noticeable and visually jarring effect when the coin is flipped. Only a limited number of these errors have surfaced from circulation, making them a popular target for variety collectors. The Australian 50-cent coin is known for its distinctive dodecagonal shape, and an upset error on such a coin makes the visual contrast even more striking. These coins have surfaced in various degrees of rotation, and the more dramatic the rotation, the more valuable the piece. In recent auctions, upset 50-cent coins from 2010 have fetched anywhere between $2,000 to $5,000, with some pristine specimens bringing over $8,000. This error has proven to be both rare and sought after, showing once again how a minting mishap can turn a common coin into a collector's prize. Number 23, 1955 Perth Mint Sovereign. Sliding into the 23rd spot is a classic. Gold coin with historic weight, both literally and figuratively. The 1955 Perth Mint Sovereign is not only part of Australia's rich legacy of gold production, but also a key date for sovereign collectors worldwide. Minted in limited quantities, the 1955 issue from the Perth Mint was one of the last true sovereigns, struck before the denomination was retired from circulation. Composed of 22-karat gold, the coin features the crowned head of Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse and the iconic St. George and the Dragon on the reverse, design that speaks to centuries of tradition and empire. What makes this particular year in mint so desirable is its relative scarcity. Many sovereigns were melted down or exported, and surviving examples in mint state condition are difficult to find. Collectors value these coins, not just for their gold content, but also for their numismatic significance. Today, a high-grade 1955 Perth Mint Sovereign can command prices ranging from $9,000 to $10,000, depending on the condition, and whether it's certified by a reputable grading service. Proof versions and coins with exceptional luster can go well beyond that, sometimes reaching $12,500 or more at auction. Number 22. Your turn. Florin. At number 22, we encounter a silver coin with deep wartime roots, the Florin. This coin was minted at the Heaton Mint in Birmingham, England, and the small H mint mark beneath. The date distinguishes it from other florins of the era. It was issued in the very year World War I erupted, giving the coin an emotional and historical resonance that few others can match. The florin was Australia's 2-shilling coin, and in 1914, it was struck in sterling silver, 925 fineness, adding precious metal appeal to its numismatic value. The obverse carries the effigy of King George V, while the reverse features the iconic Australian coat of arms, a design that would evolve over time. What makes the 1914H particularly valuable is its low survival rate in high grades. Many were used heavily in circulation, and few were preserved in collectible condition. As a result, finding a well-struck example with minimal wear is a challenge. In very fine, VF, to extremely fine, EF condition, these coins sell in the range of $300 to $700, while uncirculated, UNC, examples can reach $12,500 to $13,000. For collectors of predecimal silver, the 1914 H. Florin remains a keystone acquisition, one that combines rarity, silver content, and wartime heritage in a single beautiful piece. Number 21, 1965 2C, London Mint Pattern. At number 21, we delve into the rare and mysterious world of pattern coins. With the 1965 2-cent London Mint pattern, these coins were trial strikes produced by the Royal Mint in London prior to the full launch of Australia's decimal currency system in 1966. They were never meant for circulation and were struck in extremely small numbers to evaluate design, composition, and production quality. The 1965 pattern features an early version of the familiar frill-necked lizard design by Stuart Devlin, later used on the regular 2C coin. However, the pattern version has slight design differences and was struck using different equipment and planchets than the eventual Australian minted versions. Because of their test status and extremely limited mintage, some estimates suggest fewer than 20 to 30 known examples. These coins are virtually never seen on the open market. When they do appear, collectors scramble for the opportunity to own one of the rarest predecimal transition items in Australian numismatics. Market values for the 1965 London Mint 2C pattern coin are significant, typically starting at $5,000 and going up to $10,000 or more, depending on provenance and condition. These coins are the stuff of legends, highly prized by serious collectors and numismatic historians alike. Number 20, 1966 round silver 50-cent proof. Cracking into the top 20, we have a coin that represents a pivotal moment in Australian coinage history. The 1966 round silver 50-cent in proof condition. While millions of regular 1966 round 50C coins were released into circulation, the proof version is an entirely different beast. Struck with polished dies on specially prepared planchets, the proof 50-cent coins were never intended for circulation. They were released in limited numbers as part of collector sets, making them vastly scarcer than their business strike counterparts. Adding to the appeal is their silver content. Each coin contains 800 fine silver, amounting to roughly 34 or 16 ounces of pure silver. The standard 1966 round 50-cent coin was quickly withdrawn from circulation due to its high silver value exceeding face value. Today, even those common versions are collected, but it's the proofs that bring serious attention. Values for a proof. 1966 round silver 50-cent. Begin at $800 for a well-preserved piece and can reach $10,500 to $12,500 top-graded, flawless condition. These coins are more than collector's items. They're pieces of monetary history frozen in time, capturing the excitement and experimentation of Australia's decimal transition. Number 19, 2007 double obverse 5-cent coin. Kicking off at number 19 is one of the most visually surprising and iconic modern minting errors in Australian coinage, the 2007 double obverse 5-cent coin. At first glance, this may seem like a regular 5-cent coin until you flip it over, because instead of finding the familiar image of an echidna on the reverse, you'll find something entirely unexpected. Another Queen Elizabeth II portrait. That's right, this coin features 2 obverse sides and no reverse at all. This type of error is known as a double obverse mule, and it's one of the most dramatic kinds of minting mistakes that can occur. It happens when 2 obverse dies, intended for the front of coins, are mistakenly paired in the press and strike a batch of coins. That alone is an extremely rare and difficult error, especially in a high-security environment like the Royal Australian Mint. The fact that these coins made it through quality control, entered circulation, and were later discovered by collectors, is remarkable. The 2007 double Obverse 5C coin was first noticed by eagle-eyed collectors, who saw something off about their pocket change. Since then, only a limited number of confirmed examples have surfaced, and this rarity, combined with the bizarre and fascinating nature of the error, has made them highly sought after. In terms of value, these coins can sell from $11,000 to over $11,500, depending on the coin's condition. Certified high-grade examples, especially those with minimal wear and well-centered strikes, are worth even more. The 2007 double Obverse FC is a modern minting miracle, a coin that literally shows two sides of the same story, and none of the one it was supposed to tell. Number 18, 2000 to 110 centaur Mule. Coming in at number 18 is one of the most famous and beloved minting errors in Australian numismatic history, the legendary 2000 110 centaur Mule coin. This coin was the result of a mismatched die pairing. The Obverse heads die used was originally designed for the smaller 10-cent piece, while the reverse tails die was for the standard $1 kangaroo coin. What resulted was a coin with an obvious double rim around the Queen's portrait, a thicker border that immediately looked out of place when compared to a normal $1 coin. This misalignment wasn't a tiny or subtle detail, it was visually striking, and anyone handling change closely could potentially notice it. But even with that potential, very few were discovered early on, and many were simply overlooked. This error happened during the year 2000 at the Perth Mint, where a small batch of coins was struck with this die combination before the mistake was caught. Estimates suggest that only a few thousand of these coins ever entered circulation. In today's market, the 2000 110C Mule is a numismatic superstar. Collectors pay serious premiums for examples in high grade. Even circulated versions fetch between $400 to $1,000, while uncirculated examples can sell for $8,000 to $9,000. Exceptional coins graded by PCGS or NGC have sold for over $11,000 at auction. This coin is often credited with bringing a whole new generation of collectors into the hobby. It's living proof that even in the 21st century, you can find incredibly rare and valuable coins right in your change if you know what to look for. Number 17, 1966 Wavy baseline 20 cent. At number 17, we enter the world of rare decimal design variations with the 1966 Wavy baseline 20-cent coin, a beautiful and mysterious variety that continues to captivate collectors to this day. When Australia transitioned to decimal currency in 1966, the new coins were struck in massive numbers, but a small number of 20-cent pieces came out of the Sydney Mint with something unusual, a wavy baseline on the number 2 in 20. Unlike the straight flat bottom of the 2 seen on normal coins, this rare variety features a distinct wave or curve, almost like a ripple, at the base of the numeral. It's a subtle difference that's easy to miss unless you're specifically trained to spot it. But once you know it's unmistakable, only a limited number of these wavy baseline coins were produced before the die was corrected, and they are believed to have been minted solely at the Sydney facility. Their scarcity in circulation, combined with their visual uniqueness and the intrigue of a transitional minting era during such a pivotal time in currency history, makes them especially prized. In today's market, prices vary depending on the condition. A well-worn circulated example can sell for around $300 to $500, but coins in uncirculated UNC or choice, uncirculated condition regularly fetch $5,000 to $6,500. Some of the highest graded pieces have brought in over $7,200, making this one of the most valuable decimal varieties in Australian coinage. Collectors cherish the wavy baseline 20C not just for its rarity, but for what it represents, a small, elegant imperfection in the midst of one of the most significant transitions in Australian monetary history. Number 16, 1899 Perth Mint Sovereign. Coming in at number 16 is a coin with gold, prestige, and empire in its DNA. The 1899 Perth Mint Sovereign. This coin holds a truly special place in Australian numismatics, as it marks the first year of sovereign production at the newly opened Perth Mint. At the tail end of the 19th century, the British Empire depended heavily on gold for international trade. And Australia, rich in gold fields, was a prime location for minting sovereigns. In 1899, the Perth Mint was established to serve this need, and its very first issues carried the P Mint mark, signifying their origin. These sovereigns feature the bust of Queen Victoria on the Obverse, specifically the veiled head portrait, reflecting her age and experience, and the classic St. George slaying the dragon, designed by Benedetto Pistrucci on the reverse. This powerful imagery, combined with the coin's historical significance, makes the 1899 P sovereign a cornerstone of any serious sovereign collection. What makes this coin especially valuable is its first year of issue status, combined with relatively low surviving numbers in high grade. Many sovereigns were melted down over the decades, particularly during economic downturns, and pristine examples from 1899 are now quite rare. Depending on condition, prices vary significantly. A typical circulated example can still command $1,200 to $2,000, while high-grade, uncirculated specimens can easily exceed $13,000 to $15,000. Proof strikes or examples with exceptional provenance can reach even higher figures, $17,000 or more in major auctions. This coin isn't just gold, it's heritage. The 1899 Perth Mint sovereign is a physical symbol of Australia's minting independence and a testament to the country's place in the broader story of British imperial finance. Holding one feels like holding a page from the golden chapter of history. Number 15. 1855 Sydney Mint Sovereign. At number 15, we spotlight a coin that marks the very beginning of sovereign production on Australian soil, the 1855 Sydney Mint Sovereign. This coin isn't just rare, it's monumental. It was the first ever gold sovereign struck at the Sydney Mint, Australia's first official branch of the Royal Mint of London, and the first of its kind to bear a design distinct from British issues. Struck during the height of the Australian gold rush, the 1855 Sydney sovereign was created out of necessity, to turn newly mined gold into legal tender and reduce the reliance on imported coinage. What sets it apart from later sovereigns is its unique design. The obverse features a crowned portrait of Queen Victoria with the inscription Victoria D.G. Britannia, Regina F.D., and the reverse boldly declares Sydney Mint. Within a laurel wreath, unlike the usual St. George and the dragon motif seen on other sovereigns. As a first-year issue and the inaugural coin of the Sydney Mint, its historical importance is unmatched in Australian numismatics. Collectors deeply value its connection to the gold rush era and the birth of Australia's coinage identity. In terms of market value, the 1855 Sydney Mint sovereign commands serious respect. A circulated example in fine to very fine condition may bring $4,000 to $7,000, while extremely fine examples climb above $15,000. In uncirculated or choice mint state, this coin becomes a true showstopper, fetching upwards of $25,000 to $40,000 at major auctions. It is, quite literally, a golden cornerstone in Australia's monetary heritage. Number 14. 1915 H penny. Holding strong at number 14 is the elusive and mysterious 1915 H penny, one of the great challenges for collectors completing a predecimal penny series. Minted at the Heaton Mint in Birmingham, England, the H beneath the date is a crucial identifier and a symbol of its rarity. The year 1915 was deeply entrenched in the turmoil of World War I. Australia's local minting capabilities were still developing, so the British Heaton Mint was tasked with producing some of Australia's coinage. However, the production of pennies that year was limited, and very few were struck at the Heaton facility. As a result, the 1915 H penny is among the lowest mintage of the George V era. What makes this coin even more fascinating is its relative invisibility in circulation. Many people never saw one, and collectors of the time had no idea it would become so sought after in the decades to come. Today, it's considered one of the key dates in the entire Australian penny series. In the collector's market, even heavily circulated examples of the 1915 H penny can fetch $500 to $1,000. Coins in fine to very fine condition can sell for $1,500 to $2,500, while high-grade specimens, particularly in extremely fine EF or uncirculated condition, are valued at $5,000 to over $10,000, with top-tier examples reaching as high as $15,000. Scarce, historical, and steeped in wartime context, the 1915 H. Penny is a humble copper coin that tells a grand story. Number 13, 1922-21, Threepence Overdate. At number 13, we enter the realm of numismatic oddities with the 1922-21 Overdate Threepence, a coin that fascinates collectors for its subtlety and rarity. Overdates occur when a mint reuses a die from a previous year and alters the date, usually by hand punching the new digits over the old ones. In this case, the 1922 date was punched over a 1921 die, leaving visible remnants of both dates on the finished coin. While this may seem like a minor flaw in the world of rare coins, such features are highly collectible, especially when tied to early 20th century minting practices. The overdate can be seen most clearly on the numeral 2, where traces of the underlying 1 remain visible beneath the punch. What makes this coin especially attractive is how few were recognized and preserved. In circulated condition, the overdate can be hard to detect. So many likely went unnoticed for decades. As a result, well-preserved examples are scarce and valuable. In the market today, a circulated very fine example might command $600 to $1,200, while an extremely fine or uncirculated specimen can sell for $2,000 to $4,000. The rarest and sharpest examples, especially those certified by grading companies, have fetched upwards of $6,000 at auction. The 1922-21 Threepence Overdate is a technical marvel, a tiny error from a forgotten time that now ranks among the most desired small silver coins in Australia's predecimal legacy. Number 12, 1916 Mule halfpenny. Taking the 12th position is one of Australia's most legendary minting errors, the 1916 Mule halfpenny. The word mule in coin collecting refers to a coin struck with mismatched dies, typically using an obverse and reverse that were never meant to be paired. And this one is a classic. In 1916, the Calcutta Mint in India was enlisted to produce Australian halfpennies due to wartime pressure and resource shortages. Somehow, during production, a batch of coins was struck using the reverse die of the Australian halfpenny and the obverse die of a British King George V coin, creating a mule. The obverse features a bare-headed portrait of George V with the inscription Georgifs V, digebrit om rex vdend imp, which was standard for British coins, but never intended for Australian currency. This incorrect pairing went unnoticed at the time and only came to light decades later, making it one of the most incredible and collectible coins in the country's history. Estimates suggest that only a very small number of these mule coins exist. Perhaps less than 10 are known to survive. This incredible rarity has made the 1916 Mule halfpenny a holy grail among Australian collectors. In terms of market value, it's astronomical. One example sold for over $100,000 in a private sale, and other specimens, depending on their condition, could reach $120,000 to $150,000 or more at major auctions. It's one of the few copper coins in Australian history that can rival the top-tier gold pieces in value. The 1916 Mule halfpenny is a treasure beyond measure, a minting accident that became an eternal icon of rarity and collector fascination. Number 11, 1923 halfpenny. Just shy of the top 10 at number 11, we meet a coin that every Australian collector dreams of finding, the 1923 halfpenny. This coin is widely regarded as one of the key rarities in the entire Australian predecimal series, and for good reason. The 1923 halfpenny has long been shrouded in mystery. Official mint records state that over 1.1 million halfpennies were struck that year, but experts believe that the vast majority were never actually released to the public due to production interruptions, equipment issues, or other administrative challenges at the Melbourne Mint. The 1923 halfpennies that did make it into circulation were likely just a few thousand at most. As a result, the 1923 halfpenny has become an iconic rarity. It has eluded generations of collectors and has long been seen as one of the final pieces needed to complete a full predecimal penny and halfpenny collection. In today's market, the coin is both a legend and a luxury. A low-grade, heavily circulated example might still fetch $4,000 to $6,000, while high-grade examples in extremely fine EF can bring $20,000 to $30,000. In uncirculated condition, This coin is nearly impossible to acquire and can exceed $50,000 or more, making it one of the most valuable copper coins ever minted in Australia. The 1923 halfpenny is more than just metal. It's a myth come true. Scarce, storied, and stunning, it holds a permanent place in the pantheon of Australian numismatics. Number 10. 1938 Proof Crown. Breaking into the top 10 is a coin of undeniable elegance and prestige. The 1938 Proof Crown. This silver giant is not only one of the most visually striking coins ever produced in Australia, but also one of the most elusive. The crown, worth 5 shillings, was an unusual denomination that never truly caught on with the public. However, in proof form, it has become a legend. Struck in 925 sterling silver, the 1938 proof crown was never released for circulation. Only a small number were produced, reportedly just 250 examples, and these were reserved for collectors and dignitaries. The coin features a bold, high-relief design, King George VI in coronation robes on the obverse, and the royal crown surrounded by rays of light on the reverse. The craftsmanship of the proof strike elevates the intricate design to its full glory, with deeply mirrored fields and razor-sharp details. Unlike the mass-produced circulation versions of the 1937 and 1938 crowns, the proof version stands apart for its sheer rarity and stunning appearance. Because they were specially made and handled with care, many of the surviving examples are in high grade, but they remain incredibly hard to find. In today's market, a well-preserved 1938 proof crown can sell for $15,000 to $25,000, with perfect specimens or pedigreed examples sometimes commanding prices north of $30,000. It's a crown in name and stature, an enduring symbol of British royal grandeur, Australian minting excellence, and collector reverence. Number 9. 1937 Crown Proof Version. At number 9 is the 1937 Proof Crown, the forerunner to the 1938 issue and Australia's first ever 5-shilling coin. This piece holds historical weight, as it was created to commemorate the coronation of King George VI, a global event that inspired coin issues across the British Empire. While millions of 1937 crowns were struck for circulation, only a limited number of proofs were produced. Much like its 1938 counterpart, the 1937 proof crown boasts striking detail, mirror-like fields, and a grandiose design. The obverse features King George VI wearing royal robes, while the reverse showcases the majestic crown set atop a radiant background. But unlike the business strikes, the proof version was struck multiple times with polished dies and planchets, resulting in flawless finishes and sharp relief. It's estimated that around 100–250 proofs were produced, making them exceedingly rare. These coins were not sold to the public in bulk. They were specially made for VIPs, officials, and serious collectors. Because they were never meant for everyday use, surviving examples tend to be in very good condition, but they remain fiercely sought after. Depending on grade and provenance, a 1937 proof crown can command between $12,000 to $20,000, with high-end pieces, reaching $25,000 or more at premium auctions. This coin is a treasure in every sense, combining imperial legacy, numismatic artistry, and a touch of coronation pageantry. Number 8. 1921 Square Halfpenny Pattern. At number 8, we enter the rarefied world of pattern coinage with the 1921 Square Halfpenny Pattern, a coin that never made it into general circulation, but continues to fascinate collectors, historians, and museums alike. In the early 1920s, the Australian government was experimenting with ideas to modernize its coinage. Among those ideas was the concept of square coins, easy to distinguish by touch, and less likely to roll away when dropped. The result was a short series of square-shaped, pattern coins dated 1921, including this magnificent halfpenny. Struck in bronze, the 1921 Square Halfpenny pattern features King George I on the obverse and a stylized version of the Australian coat of arms on the reverse. The crisp, square design, sharply edged borders, and elegant layout make this coin stand out even among patterns. But what truly elevates its status is its rarity. Only a handful of specimens exist today. Most of these coins were test strikes, never released to the public. They were produced in extremely low numbers, Some experts suggest fewer than 10 known. Examples of the square halfpenny survive, making it one of the rarest coins in Australian numismatics. Because of this extreme scarcity, the 1921 square halfpenny pattern is valued at between $40,000 to $70,000 depending on condition and provenance. In private sales, figures as high as $90,000 have been reported. It's a window into an alternate history of Australian coinage, where square coins might have become the standard, and where a bold vision left behind a legacy in bronze. Number 7. 1921 Square Penny Pattern. Following closely at number 7 is the 1921 Square Penny Pattern, perhaps the most famous pattern coin in Australian history. Like its halfpenny counterpart, the square penny was an experimental design, tested in limited numbers, but this one has achieved near-mythic status among collectors. The idea behind the square coins was revolutionary for the time. In addition to being more functional in handling and storage, square coins had a novel appeal. The 1921 square penny features a beautifully crowned portrait of King George V on the Obverse and a highly detailed version of the Australian coat of arms on the reverse, all framed within the bold square border. Only an estimated 12 to 20 examples of the 1921 square penny pattern are known to exist. Many of them are housed in museums or major private collections, which makes finding one on the market a rare event. Several variations also exist, some with slightly different legends, fonts, or design quirks, adding further intrigue to this iconic issue. When one of these coins comes to auction, it becomes headline news in the numismatic world. Recent sales have seen prices ranging from $60,000 to $80,000, while certain types or exceptional examples have exceeded $100,000. It's not just a coin. It's a conversation piece, a historical artifact, and a tangible piece of Australia's numismatic imagination. The 1921 square penny pattern is a dream coin for collectors, and proof that sometimes the coins that were never circulated become the most celebrated of all. Number 6. 1852 Adelaide Pound Type 2. Coming in at number 6 is one of the most historically significant and instantly recognizable gold coins in Australian history. The 1852 Adelaide Pound Type 2. This was not only Australia's first gold coin, but also the first gold coin to be officially minted in the colonies. It emerged during the gold rush, at a time when desperate need for a reliable currency system led to bold and unprecedented action. In the early 1850s, gold fever had taken hold of Australia. Miners were bringing up enormous amounts of gold, but there was no official system to convert that gold into usable money. In response, the Adelaide Assay Office was established, and in 1852, it began striking gold coins bearing the name Adelaide, the first legal tender not produced by the Royal Mint. The Type 2 Adelaide Pound was created after the initial type. Its design proved structurally flawed and was abandoned after just a few thousand strikes. The Type 2 featured a strengthened design, especially around the denticles and rim, making it more durable for circulation. It bears a charmingly bold, somewhat crude inscription, and a crowned design that reflects colonial craftsmanship under pressure. With only approximately 24,000 Type 2 Adelaide pounds ever struck, and far fewer surviving in collectible condition, this coin remains a rare and precious artifact. Many were melted down or damaged, and finding an intact, high-grade piece today is exceptionally difficult. The value of the 1852 Adelaide Pound Type 2 is substantial. In circulated condition, examples can sell for $15,000 to $25,000. High-grade coins command prices of $40,000 to $70,000, while museum-quality specimens, especially those with crisp strike and strong luster, can exceed $100,000. The 1852 Adelaide Pound isn't just a coin. It's a symbol of independence, innovation, and Australia's pioneering spirit during one of the most dramatic chapters in its economic history. Number 5. 1852 Adelaide Pound Type 1. At number 5 is not just a coin, it's a historic cornerstone of Australia's monetary identity. The 1852 Adelaide Pound Type 1. While the Type 2 version introduced design improvements, the Type 1 is where it all began. Australia's very first gold coin. It was born in the goldfields, struck in Adelaide, and minted under circumstances that were as raw and urgent as the rush itself. In the wake of the gold rush, thousands of ounces of gold flooded into South Australia. But without a proper system to convert that gold into currency, miners and merchants faced economic gridlock. So, in a remarkable act of colonial autonomy, the Adelaide Assay Office was established. And with it came the striking of the 1852 Adelaide pound. The type I was the very first attempt. Its design featured a bold Gothic font, a crown encircled by a beaded border, and the inscription Adelaide Assay Office. However, the type I had a serious design flaw. The too thin beaded inner circle and insufficient metal strength around the edge made it prone to cracking during the striking process. As a result, only about 24 coins were successfully struck and escaped melting. Yes, just 24 survivors. Today, the 1852 Adelaide Pound Type Y is one of the rarest Australian coins in existence. A piece of living history. It's cherished for its imperfections, its crude colonial artistry, and the story it tells of desperate innovation in the outback. In terms of market value, this coin commands extraordinary respect. A Type Y Adelaide pound in any condition is valued at $250,000 to $0.4 million. Museum-grade examples with clear features and minimal wear have achieved over $0.5 million at auction. It's an icon, a national treasure, and for serious collectors, it is the crown jewel of early Australian gold. Number 4, 1920 Sydney Sovereign. Taking the 4th position is the 1920 Sydney Sovereign, an ultra-rare coin that has become a legend among sovereign collectors and one of the most mysterious issues in Australian numismatics. This gold coin was struck at the Sydney Mint, the last year of its operation before Sovereign. Production ended there forever, and it was minted in astonishingly small numbers. For decades, collectors believed no 1920 Sydney Sovereigns were issued, but in the 1950s, a handful of examples surfaced, revealing that only a tiny number, possibly as few as 10 to 15 pieces, were ever struck and released. Their origin is still shrouded in mystery. Were they special presentation pieces? Private test strikes? Emergency issues? The Royal Mint records remain inconclusive. What we do know is this. The 1920 Sydney Sovereign is one of Australia's rarest sovereigns and easily one of its most valuable. The obverse features King George V, and the reverse, like all classic sovereigns, features Benedetto Pistrucci's dramatic image of St. George slaying the dragon. But it's the tiny S mint mark above the date indicating Sydney that transforms this coin from ordinary to extraordinary. Very few examples exist in private hands. In fact, some collectors have waited decades just to see one, let alone acquire it. In the current market, values for a verified 1920 Sydney Sovereign range from $0.5 million to over $1 million, depending on condition and provenance. In 2012, an example sold at auction for approximately $1.2 million AUD, setting a record at the time. This coin is not just rare, it's mythical. It's the last golden breath of an era and one of the most desirable pieces in the Southern Hemisphere's coinage history. Number 3, 1813 Dump. Now we step back to the very dawn of Australian coinage, with a rugged little coin that's as heavy with history as it is with metal. The legendary 1813 Dump ranked number 3 on our list. In the early 19th century, Australia was in crisis. The colony of New South Wales had no stable currency. British coins were hoarded or exported. Barter and promissory notes were unreliable. Into this chaos stepped Governor Lachlan Macquarie, who had a revolutionary idea: modify foreign coins to create a uniquely Australian monetary system. He took Spanish silver dollars, punched a hole in the center, and created 2 new coins. The outer ring became the Holey Dollar, and the small inner disc, the Dump, became Australia's first coin struck, entirely for local use. Stamped with the words New South Wales 1813 and a crown, the Dump was valued at 15 pence, and its crude design reflected the tools and limitations of the day. It was Australia's first indigenous coin, struck under colonial authority using local manpower and old Spanish metal. Though utilitarian in appearance, the Dump is beautiful in spirit, a testament to resourcefulness, colonial governance, and the earliest stirrings of national identity. Only a few thousand dumps were ever produced, and most were eventually withdrawn and melted down. Today, they are incredibly rare. In terms of value, a worn but genuine 1813 dump can command $20,000 to $30,000. Higher grade examples with full crowns and legible legends can reach $80,000 to $150,000 while exceptionally well preserved. Pieces have surpassed $250,000. A paired Holey Dollar and dump set has even achieved over $0.5 million. This coin, small in size but immense in significance, is the birth certificate of Australian coinage. Number 2, 1813 Holey Dollar. At number 2 is Australia's most revered coin, the awe-inspiring larger half of Governor Macquarie's coinage solution, the 1813 Holey Dollar. Imagine this. It's 1813, the fledgling colony of New South. Wales is drowning in economic instability. Coinage is scarce. Commerce is difficult. Into this void comes the Holey Dollar, a bold, unconventional solution to an extraordinary problem. Using Spanish silver 8, reales, internationally accepted trade coins, Macquarie's administration cut out the center and restamped the outer ring with New South Wales, 1813 and a value of 5 shillings. It was a stroke of genius. By punching the hole, they rendered the coin useless outside the colony, preventing export or hoarding, and instantly doubled the number of circulating coins by also creating the dump. The Holey Dollar stands today as one of the most iconic pieces of colonial ingenuity in world coinage. Only about $39,000 Holey Dollars were originally produced, and today fewer than 350 are known to exist, each with its own personality, since the host coins came from many different mints and had unique wear and features. Depending on the origin of the host coin, strike quality, and condition, values range significantly. A worn example may sell for $30,000 to $50,000, but high-grade or rare die combinations have sold for $0.1 million to $0.4 million. In 2018, a superb Holey Dollar sold for over $0.5 million AUD, setting a new benchmark. This coin is more than a collector's dream. It's a cultural icon. Featured on stamps, books, and museum walls, it is Australia's first independently issued coin, and arguably its most meaningful. Number 1, 1930 penny. And now, the crown jewel, the legend. The coin that captured the hearts of collectors, school children, and treasure hunters alike. At number 1, the 1930 penny, Australia's most famous and most valuable copper coin. The story of the 1930 penny is steeped in myth and mystery. Officially, no pennies were supposed to be minted for circulation in 1930 due to the Great Depression. But somehow, a tiny batch, probably fewer than 500 coins, slipped into public hands, likely struck using leftover dies during a minting lull and quietly released. Nobody noticed at first. For years, it was just another brown coin in pocket change, until sharp-eyed collectors in the 1940s realized just how rare it was. Since then, the 1930 penny has become the holy grail of Australian coin collecting. It features the portrait of King George V on the obverse and the iconic Commonwealth of Australia legend on the reverse. While visually similar to other pennies of the era, its true power lies in the tiny date, 1930, etched in the bottom. In terms of value, even a low-grade example can sell for $25,000 to $40,000. Coins in very fine to extremely fine condition command prices of $80,000 to $120,000. Uncirculated examples, of which only a few are known, have sold for $250,000 to over $1 million. Yes. A single copper coin for 7 figures. The 1930 penny is more than a coin. It's a cultural phenomenon. It's inspired treasure hunts, made headlines, and become the subject of books, documentaries, and museum displays. It reminds us all that the most valuable things are not always made of gold, but of history, scarcity, and mystery. And that, my friends, was the unforgettable journey through the top. 25 most valuable Australian coins, 8 legacy written in copper, silver, and gold. Who knows? One of these rare coins could be sitting in your drawer right now. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell, because next time, we're uncovering even more coins that could make you rich. Thanks for watching. Your next coin might just be worth a fortune.